Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Blank Pages with our special guest, Lexi Ryan. Welcome.
Hi, Lexi.
We are so happy to have you. We've known you for years, but for our audience listening, could you pretty please introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Lexi Ryan. I write sexy contemporary romance and I also write fantasy romance. Right now, my only fantasy romances are young adult, but my first adult fantasy romance will release in February of 27, which I know sounds like it's a long, long way away, but in so many ways, I'm like, it's a little too close. It'll be here like in a blink.
And is that
Good.
with a publisher then?
Yeah, that one's with HarperCollins. It'll be either with Voyager or Avon. It's with Voyager in the UK, but the US, I don't know if they've decided. They work in tandem, and so a lot of the fantasy romance, like they're like it's one or the other. Do you have a? No, I don't care. Whoever's going to take better care of me, put me with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And can you give us any little hint about what is this like
Yeah. Yeah, it's a world with all sorts of supernatural creatures. It is my vampire retelling of Beauty and the Beast.
Ooh.
And think like a world where the only magic is like controlled within the kingdoms, and mages all go to academy, and then the four kingdoms, like if you go to academy, then you are put into a draft. And so you maybe grew up in Daybreak your whole life and are drafted into Twilight. And so my heroine is the daughter of the emperor, but she is also in the position of being the single academy graduate who gets to choose her own fate, because she's at the top of her class. And so she's always wanted to go to Daybreak because that's her family heritage. And at the last minute, she ends up needing the Nighttide Prince to save her father's life. And since the Nighttide Prince loathes her father, he makes her promise like bargain promise to serve his kingdom of Nighttide. So it
Oh my
all
God.
revolves
No.
around,
I was like
yeah,
Divergent and yeah. Not
yeah,
Beauty
it
and
all
Beast.
revolves around this bargain, and then she gets there, and there's this curse, but there's argument over whether or not it's a curse. Or it's, oh my gosh, y'all,
Your
it's my
brain's gonna
favorite
explode.
thing I've ever written,
Mhm.
but also like I flew too close to the sun, and it has tried to kill me. Like it hit, like I'm in a hotel room because I need to once again be away from everyone so I can put my head down and
And focus.
okay. This is oversharing, but can I
No, no, no.
overshare?
We love
This
Absolutely.
overshare.
book,
Bring it. She doesn't even
this
need
book
alcohol to
got me on
overshare.
HRT. I am now on hormone replacement therapy because this book made me realize that I can't focus. There is no way you can be in perimenopause and not keep things straight in your head and have this big convoluted fantasy world with backstory upon backstory, and it has its own
Oh, girl.
pantheon of gods. I couldn't keep it straight. There were not enough note cards or sticky notes or notebooks in the world for me to keep it all straight. And then my doctor was like, let's just try it. And then suddenly, like really quickly, so quickly, I was like, this is all in my head. Like the clouds
Yeah.
parted. And I was like, I can think again. Like I can hold on to a thought in my brain. It's amazing.
And I need
So,
what you're on because my brain still doesn't load well. While you guys are talking, you and Willow are probably both the closest I've ever met to the most chaotic writers. Like you guys, like I am like, I write as a movie and I go each scene to see each scene. And talking to both, you guys would get along. You guys are the most like
Here's our crown.
this moment,
are
that
you a
moment, and then I'll
quilter
leave it together.
too? Do
I
you
write
do quilt?
backwards and hop around all the time. Like
You
I'll
guys are
write,
Yeah.
insane.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I still
I
move
just
in my head. It's just I write which parts I want to write when I want to write them. And if I get stuck, I don't just stay stuck. I'll like be like, okay, well, at the end of the chapter, I know it ends this way. And then I'll write the last paragraph and then the paragraph before it. And I'll literally work up to
that's
that moment.
amazing.
Yeah. I bet
Yeah.
you do it too.
Yeah, I'll just write whatever parts I know because how am I supposed to know what to write next if I don't know what happens at the
After.
end?
Yeah.
And sometimes I know it and sometimes I don't. And sometimes I only know this like tiny little piece. So I'm going to write that piece because it's what the gods have given me today. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it on the page and then I'm going to rewrite it 15 times because the first way I wrote it doesn't work with the way the book actually ends up. Stacey, I know you see it like a movie, which I'm very jealous of. Are you like do you know it all, or are you just like, I figure it out as I go, I see it as I go, but I just have to be linear?
Oh,
Or do you know it
I
in
do not
advance?
know it as I'm such a pantser.
Yeah.
But I need to develop that scene as I go so I don't have to write it 15 more times. I actually kind of almost edit as I go too.
Yeah.
So I'll have the way the music is, the lighting, everything in that scene, so I know how they feel in the next, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no,
Which
I
makes a lot of
definitely don't,
sense.
I
you
don't
know.
have to know what happens in this scene to know what they feel like in the next. I think that my one of my Clifton strengths is futuristic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Number
and I
two,
think that
futuristic. Yeah.
yours number two is, yeah,
Mhm.
it's one of my top five. I don't know which placement it
Mhm.
is, but futuristic. So I think that that's what it is like we just can see how it's gonna be, and then we just got to figure out
Mhm.
how we got there. So,
Right.
yeah,
I'm number one activator, which means I want to do the thing now or
I'm an
yesterday.
activator too. Oh my,
Oh,
I
So
need,
so
I need
like
to
that
bring
you're
them
not
up.
going to stop me. I'm just going to do the thing, you know? Like
because when we had that, when I came to help you in the Barnes and Noble, when you had that signing, I love the way you describe it. You were saying like, I write this and then it's like a blanket where I just weave them all together.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know, you just had such a beautiful way. I'm like, oh,
And
that's
I
so
wish I
pretty.
could
Chaotic,
remember
but pretty.
who gave me that term, because that
Yeah.
quilter term is not one I
Filter,
came
yeah.
up with. But somebody said it as if it was as common a term as pantser or plotter. And I'm like, I haven't heard it before, but that's me. I'm a quilter. But yeah, with this book, there were singed wings as I got a little too close to the sun. But hopefully it will all be worth it, because if I can pull it off, it's gonna be amazing.
I'm
But
sure it will be worth it, and I'm super excited for it. Do you have anything launching before then? And more importantly, this is such a mean question. What is your favorite book that you've written that you want our audience to read? Because we have authors, but we also have a lot of
Like,
readers.
here,
Listen,
Sophie's choice.
I don't,
Pick
here's
it
the
up.
unfair question.
yeah, it's like, oh, who was it? It's Nora Roberts. It's like, it's always the book I just finished, or the book that just published is always my favorite book. And like, I know she's a little tongue in cheek when she says that, because she's like, yeah, because that's the book I need to promote.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I don't have, and I just released the last book in my world of fairy, which was called Between These Broken Hearts. It was the sequel to Beneath These Cursed Stars.
Are these
But that,
these are young adult, right?
mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like two duologies in the same world, a duology of duologies, if you will. And oh, yay,
Send
thank
me your book.
you. So that just came out at the end of July. And initially we thought that Night Tide would be coming out in July of 26. And then they sent me another edit letter, and I was like, you're crazy if you think I can get this done in 4 weeks, because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not happening.
Well,
And
I have
my
not.
editor,
Yeah.
she's really good. Like, she is very book first and not deadline first, which
Oh,
there were moments that I just wanted to be like, listen, they can't all be winners. They can't all be winners, and you just need to make your peace with the fact that I can't deliver. But I have made my way through the pain, and I'm back to the place of hope and optimism. Um,
so,
Correct
because
me.
like
okay.
you're talking to two people that are just starting this. I have now gotten through my first edits with Blackstone. Willow's going to be coming
I'm
up
in
on this.
contract. We're currently
Yeah,
talking contract still. It's, it takes forever, and I've never done traditional
it's
before, but this is
You've
my
been
question was
very protective of your rights, and I
I
really respect that.
have, and I love that that's the way you look at it, because I know I'm very, very protective of rights in many aspects, including like actually I don't even want to bring it like AI, like authors who use AI for anything in any capacity, even for like voice, like anything. I'm so protective of rights, especially with lawsuits and legalities of things changing. So I
Same
love
here.
that when we talk traditional and my name gets brought up, protective of rights is like the thing, because I wish more authors were. But you are safe and sound and in a cocoon, a quilt, if you will, of beauty with your
Can
traditional.
I share a really tiny AI story that just happened on my way
Oh my God,
here?
yes. Yes.
My daughter's in online school, and so she had a required live, not all of her live lessons are required. They're like over Zoom, but not all of them are required, and she tends to do as few as possible, which whatever. She's a straight A student. As long as she's doing her work, I'm cool. But she had a required one this afternoon, and she texts me and she says, talking about climate change and the water crisis while using AI generated images is wild.
It's
Oh,
wild.
right?
People don't
Goodness.
talk about the pollution that it
Yes.
causes. Also, it's in like it's unreal. That is a completely we could go off on a
I
Sorry,
know, because I'm
sorry,
like,
y'all.
every
hour.
time they say, "Oh, I asked Chat GPT," I was like, "Do
I'm
you
like,
understand the waste of just like, the
Yeah.
turtles,
literally,
like,
like
where
just use Google, go
face
to
cream."
Wikipedia, don't chat GPT
Yeah.
something so
Text a
easy.
friend. People will be like, I asked ChatGPT what I should have for dinner. Text me. I'll tell you. I'll make
Yeah.
something up.
Yes, literally. But my whole thing was, correct me if I'm wrong, you are hybrid because you started indie, right?
Yeah.
Did you
So
start
it's
So
contemporary or did
was
you start fantasy?
Unbreak Me, I think like when I think of your name, I think of Unbreak Me. And it
I
could
love
just be because
that.
that's my like soft spot like in
Oh,
my heart
I
feels.
love
But
that.
that was indie, is that right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
It was indie.
No,
Okay.
you're absolutely right. So I started, my first published books were in 2009 with a small digital press, and they were paranormal romance. They are not currently available because every time I think, oh, I'll tweak these and throw them back up, and I skim them, I'm like, I can't do it. I have too much pride. They are not going. I mean, I have the rights back. I got them
I
back so that, yeah, I
I'm going
can't.
to throw this out there. I do not want to interrupt you, but I have to say this. If you made a Patreon and you posted them in there, they would go wild. And that's all I'm going to say. It's just an idea. I'm just throwing it out there into
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
but keep going.
So,
Well, I
that
think
was paranormal romance. And honestly, at the time, I was a contemporary romance writer who had an opportunity to write. It was an erotic romance digital imprint, and and they were like looking for a specific thing, and I was like, oh, I'll do that. Me with my full-time English professor job was like, oh, I'll just write erotic romance in paranormal while I work my full-time job and raise my small children and also work on the contemporary romances that I'm trying to get published with big public, the New
No,
York
thank
publishers.
you. Just doing the whole everything at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, what happened was I wrote the books that I was on contract for,
Mhm.
and the other stuff got pushed aside as it happens. And I realized real quick that the pay of that digital press was never going to help make me feel like I could justify the time it took for my family, which stinks to look at it that way. But I've always wanted to be a career author. And I really respect people who are like, I don't do it for the money. I just want to write. I'm like, that's cool. I really needed on many levels to have writing be my full-time job. I felt like I think I needed it for validation. I think I needed it because I'm also high focus. I'm number three focus. And I think I
I
need to be
wish I
able to just shut everything else out. And well, it's good and bad. It's great because when you go, it's like kind of ADHD-ish. Like when you
Mhm.
go deep, you
Sure.
go deep. But like also if something else has your attention, you can't get anyway.
you
So
know,
I think there were lots of reasons for me that made sense, but I do respect anyone who that's not their thing. I wanted to be a career author, so that meant I needed to be writing books that made money.
exactly.
So I hit my head against the wall of New York for years, and in 2012 I started indie publishing, a couple little contemporary romances that did okay-ish.
Unbreak
Um,
it was later,
and
right? It
Unbreak Me
wasn't
was
one of your first.
2013.
It was
So it was my
2013.
third
Yeah.
indie full-length title, my first new adult indie title. Unbreak Me was what I did. My books were not doing what I wanted them to do. They were not doing what I was seeing my peers be able to accomplish with their books. And so I took a look at the market and was like, okay, new adult is very strong right now. What stories do I have that fit this? And I actually had a novel under the bed that was like a
That's
story of my
the
heart,
love
Maggie's
that.
story. Yeah. So I was like, I could rewrite Maggie's story in first person, change my police officer to a rock star. I mean, it's a very different book than it used to be. It used to have honestly, the strong subplots of the original book became their own stories or series because all the sisters have their own books. And so those were subplots in the original book and they kind of got pulled out in later books. But I was really, I saw the market and was like, oh my gosh, this story that I can't find a way to tell actually fits here really well. The part of the story that matters most to me fits this market really well. And so I rewrote a book I had under the bed as specifically to fit this market. And yeah, I call it my breakout book. There are
It
lots
was.
of, I feel like we all have different breakout books, don't we?
We do. And multiple times, right? There's never a
Yeah.
chance.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
feel like your preparation with that opportunity just gave you like the best luck. Is that the formula? That's what they say, right? There's a quote. Is it preparation plus
Preparation.
opportunity equals luck? And I think you just had that. That's your breakout was you knew what you were doing, you knew it would fit, and you had this passion project and you threw it out
Yeah.
there and it was a beautiful explosion.
And the timing wasn't always right. Like part of the reason I was able to be successful with indie publishing with contemporary romance was because of 50 Shades, right?
That
So
was
when I start
08, 09. When did that come out? So it was going around the world. It was very popular
Yeah.
for
When I started self-publishing in 2012, there was this Facebook group called What to Read After 50 Shades of Grey.
Mhm.
And as an author, you could go in there and be like, here's my book.
Mhm,
And then you could just watch your Amazon sales just go. It was amazing. Can
mhm.
you imagine like Facebook when you could post something and people saw
Oh,
it?
Oh, I
yeah.
can. We
The
want to
good
do
old
an
days.
episode, right? We want to do drunk history of indie
Oh
self-published
my
romance.
God.
Literally, because it was wild back then. You could just make a Facebook post being like, "Oh, I hit publish.
Self-rec.
Go get yourself a drink, come back, and you're like in the top 100." And like it was from one Facebook post.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Things have
Oh,
changed.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yes.
I wasn't hitting with my first two indie books. I wasn't hitting anything magical like that. It wasn't quite what people wanted, but it was enough that I was able to have make enough money because I was only using money I'd made. I wasn't taking in family money to do any of this. So I took that digital publishing money to do my first indie books, and then what they made, I used to buy, better editing and better cover artists and better everything for Unbreak Me. And so it was enough for that. It was also enough that I was building reviews. So when I got my first BookBub deal in 2013,
oh, book bubs.
I
Oh,
had
back in the
enough.
day.
I know back when BookBub made me a New York
Oh,
Times bestseller. That was my
yeah.
first New York Times bestseller was because of BookBub. It doesn't work like that anymore.
Book Club is going to be an honorable mention when we do drunk history, a shot every time it's mentioned. I
We're
still
gonna be so
love it.
drunk.
Still love it.
It's like
We're not going to be able to stand.
I know, right?
people will be like, oh man, my sales are down. Have you done your BookBub recently? Have you? Oh, they reject. Have you? You need to
I
apply every
still
month.
say it. A pulse, I still say it, and I still do it every month.
I
And
need
also the
to.
audio, the impact has absolutely changed. The industry changes dramatically every couple of months, even every couple of weeks. And this brings us to one of my favorite questions. There are high highs and low lows in this industry. You do not have to share them if you don't want to, but if you would like to, what is your high high and what is your low low?
Let's start with Lolo because I need some time to think about the high high, and also I like to end with good stuff.
Yeah.
In 2015, so I Unbreak Me come out in 2013. It stayed in the Amazon top 100 for like 2 months. It was like
Wow.
amazing.
Back in the day.
And it was my first time like you guys, I resigned from my day job at the beginning of May. Unbreak Me came out at the end of May. My husband had taken this giant leap of faith with me, and he was like, "Oh, I guess, but we can't like be renovating the house or going on vacation." And I was like, "Just trust me, I've got this." And then Unbreak Me comes out, and I made $50,000 the first month it was out, and I was like, "It's gonna be okay." And you guys, I'm gross about money because I just like talking like real. So I'm not trying to be braggy or anything. At the time in 2013, that was just a thing. You
Yeah,
could
it
release
was.
a book
Yeah.
and it's
And you didn't have to
it's still
spend
a thing now, but it's a very different
Yeah.
thing. It's a
pay.
Yeah.
very
Yeah, it's a
Different thing.
pay to gamble, not even pay to play. It's a pay to gamble situation
yes,
now.
exactly. Yeah, if you're not like pumping that Facebook ads
Mm,
or I don't even
Amazon
know.
ad.
Okay, so I did that. I did the sequel. I had New York offers for the first time in my life. I had that I turned down because I was like, "This, your numbers, the math isn't mathing." I was thinking that before we said that. Um, and then I had the Here and Now series, which was a cliffhanger trilogy, which I absolutely loved writing, and specifically wrote because I was like, I just have these weird ideas. I thought if I write this as my main thing next year, I can make sure I make at least $300,000 next year. You know, like these weird, like random, I think it's because we're watching each other and we were also transparent with each other in numbers at the time. But it was also just so much fun. It's like an amnesia love triangle. It was like totally my crack. And then I wrote another sisters series, and that was a duology with a prequel. And then I'm still in this world, and I get my dream house,
Mhm,
and I've been putting out 3 or 4 books a year, which is a lot for me.
mhm.
And like I hit burnout like so hard. And I think a lot of it was that like moving into the dream house that you always want, you know, like the thing, whatever it is, if it's you lost all the weight
Yeah.
or you moved
Yeah.
into the dream house or you got the
Now
car,
what?
whatever the
Now what?
big thing is. So
Yeah.
for me, it was the big house. And then it's like, oh, I actually am still a human who struggles with anxiety and depression. I am still somebody who
Not
is really
perfect. Yeah.
struggling with her body image and trying to make time to take care of herself. I have low back issues and they were really bad because I was not doing all the things I need to do to do this job and take care of my body. So I hit burnout. And it's a weird thing to call a low because part of it was the sales. I had this yet another book come out the book I'd written while we moved, and it just killed me to write it while we moved. And then it didn't perform, but it was like a slight pivot into romantic suspense.
Mhm.
And I don't think my readers really wanted that. Um, but it was this moment of I wasn't sure I still wanted to work this hard, even if it was going to pay off like it's been paying off. And now it isn't. So what am I supposed to do now? And at this point, you know, there have been some ups and downs, right? You always have this.
Yeah.
This is normal. But it was my first like significant dip. And I was kind of grappling with all that at once. And I just hit burnout. And you know what fixed me? My next book, I had to get myself writing again. So I was like, I'm going to write a novella and release it in my newsletter. It'll be a great way to grow my newsletter. Well, let me tell you, it did not grow my newsletter. I am not good enough about marketing for it to grow my newsletter. But what it did was it got me in conversation with my readers because I would send out that chapter each week. It would make me write a chapter each week. I would send out that chapter, which was killing me because you have to write linear if you're writing as you go for a
Right.
newsletter.
You're like, this is
So
going
that was
good.
different. But then my readers would write me. And so I got to be reminded on a weekly, if not, you know, more frequent basis that people are reading what I write. They like what I write. They're excited to get more of what I write. They're willing to pay for what I write. It brings something good to their life. And it was like, it didn't at all accomplish any of my goals for that book and novella ended up being 75,000 words. Um, but what it did was it like kind of it breathed life back into me. And I was like, oh, right. I'm like super lucky that I get to do this and it's wonderful
It's that
and everything's gonna be
passion.
okay. I just have to go, you know. And that was the first time my husband had like sat down with me and been like, "Do we need to have a come to Jesus talk about KU?" And I was like, "No, we're not doing it," because my friends were starting to do it. That was when it was brand new, right?
Oh, and
2015.
that's when it was really like, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I wasn't invited I had friends that were like invited to do the beta and they didn't have to be exclusive. And they were like, yeah, I'm just taking the money now. But once I have to be exclusive, I'm out, you know? And most of them are full KU now, but for a
Yeah,
while
like
they
they
were
never
really
went
out.
out. They never left.
Yeah. So anyway, things
That's
were
a low
changing.
low. That's
It
a
was my
low
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 low.
with the happily ever after. What is the high high though? Because that
And if
almost
you
feels
haven't
like a
reached
high
it
high
yet,
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, the deal for this book that I'm working on now, it's a trilogy, right? And so I told my daughter that I had a particular kind of deal I wanted, and
Mhm.
that if I got that, we would go see Taylor Swift. Now, I'd wanted to go see Taylor Swift, but I couldn't get freaking first run tickets. So I knew I had to buy. I tried, but I couldn't even get on a waiting list for
Cheaper
them.
to go to Europe to get the
I
front.
know that's what we should have done.
Yeah.
So I'm talking, we were like in Lucas Oil, like way up, but there's not really a bad seat in that place. But I was like, I'd been like hemming and hawing and like, I want to go, but it's ridiculous. But I, it's good and bad, right? Like it was a very huge thing for me. I told my agent, again, I just get these ideas of this story has the potential to be this thing. And so I want this thing. And my agent is so often like, okay. And like, I think he just like holds on for the ride because he knows I'm just like, I'm going to go after what it is I think that I can do. But then I got it and was like, oh
Oh, shit.
shit.
Now I actually have to do it.
Sold it on proposal, like, and
And
now
now
I'm
we're
like,
in the
oh,
hotel room again.
yeah,
Literally.
now I have to actually write it. And so I kept reminding like I bought myself a sticker for my laptop that says pressure is a privilege. So that was a big deal when I won my Rita back when Ritas were still a thing. That was a really big moment for me. I'll always treasure that night.
For those listening who don't know what a Rita is, this was an RWA, which is
Romance Writers of America.
Romance Writers of, thank you. I was like, what does the R stand for?
I know. Where'd they go?
Yes, it's very big deal, very prestigious, one of the highest honors. And that was, it doesn't exist anymore like it used to. I don't think it exists at all anymore, actually.
They tried rebranding it. I don't know if there's even an equivalent anymore.
No, I don't think that there is. But yeah, winning a Rita is a high, but getting this deal was, yeah. So I'm so excited for you. Yeah.
The Rita was a super high moment. The deal is like, I have an income for the next 5 years, which is kind of nice, know? So
nice. Can I ask when was that? Because I know exactly the day even when I decided to switch over to contemporary just for an outlet. Like I knew what mine was always going to be fantasy, my main thing, but I needed that other. And what was yours? When did you decide to go from contemporary to like, I'm going to start writing, especially, more YA fantasy? You're like, I need to leave the real world. Like I could see why
so I did a deep dive into fantasy, like for myself, because I was struggling. And I do think that is a big appeal for women in general when it comes to writing fantasy, to reading fantasy, that it's a world where the monsters are slain.
Yeah.
Do you know why they say that why women are so drawn to TV shows about, murder, like the murder and the crime and stuff like that is because it's our way of controlling, because so many of them are about men murdering women, about, so they're like, these women that we love, these shows that will like curl up on the thing it's a weird way of how we can control that thing that we can't control. It's like,
so it was my therapy.
That was the sign. Oh, I should look for that red flag, or I should do that. So watching those, they say it's actually a lot of times women's therapy and like, understanding.
I love true
what happened.
Same. I love Snapped. I was just watching it last night. I turn it on.
Ooh, I don't know that one.
Oh, it's when women snap and they kill people. Yeah.
Like, then it makes me want to do that. What is Chicago? He made me do it.
Yeah. Seasons. There are literally hundreds
of my knife 5 times.
Oopsie.
But that makes all the sense in the world that it became your form of therapy. And there is a lot of research, especially currently with this rise of romantasy, about the cognitive dissonance and the ability to cope through things without even being aware. And it's empowering without even being intentionally empowering. So you're doing good in the world, you're coping yourself, you're getting more in therapy while actively doing something good in the world.
And also helping people that need to need to escape, read it, and I know, because I'm always like, oh, we're not brain surgery or everything, but how many people have come up and been like, while they're going through something, like our books help them get through that. So like whoever, another mom that needed that, maybe something different, but same kind of level, needed to get away from the real world and slay monsters through you. Can I
tell you, I think I'm really spoiled, and I'd forgotten how spoiled I am with romance readers because we have grown this, maybe it was already there and we just have become part of it, but we have this beautiful community of people who are all about romance novels and who will champion them and who will talk about them and feel no shame for it. And that is the world I want to live in, right? So, but I forget that this isn't mainstream. And then I did a conversation with Sophie Jordan last week, and it was hosted by a small town public library that brings in authors, and like the first 100 people to come get a free book of the new release. And the number of people there who needed to make sure they told us that normally they read literary fiction, but every once in a while they just need something to cleanse their palate. I was like, oh, I forgot this was a thing. We have to make sure people know we're too smart for romance, but occasionally it's acceptable. And
It's
no
growing.
offense to them,
Yeah.
that's the world they live in. This was hosted at a small private college. I've been in that world. I had to figure out how my romance loving self fit into that, you know, capital L literature world. So I get it, but I'd forgotten. I've gotten
Yeah.
so spoiled by our awesome readers that I'd forgotten how prevalent it is, even among people who do read our books. But they're like, it's okay. It's like the Hail Marys. Read 4 pieces of literary fiction after this romance novel, and you've
And you're
cleansed
like,
your.
and I
It's like your
guarantee my
penance.
romance novel was deeper than all those literary fictions that you
Literally.
did. But because it came with romance title on it, you guys are like, no, no.
You
Yeah.
know, and
Taking its
Sophie
time.
was.
I was going to say it's taking its time, but that we are making strides.
Yeah.
It is being recognized for what it is and its impact and its level to reach the common person. There's so many pieces of literature that we now put on pedestals that were trash at the time because the language they
I mean,
used for
Shakespeare. Look at
Oh, yeah.
Shakespeare. He
literally, and it
was
was
The
just
horny bastard.
writing
People are like,
sex
oh,
jokes.
Shakespeare. I'm
yeah,
like, that's a horny
Chaucer.
bastard.
yeah,
Chaucer is just dirty.
yeah. Yes. So we're doing the good work, even though not everybody can recognize it, they're still reading it.
Mhm.
And you know, I feel like we have to as authors
Mhm.
be okay with not being recognized for that when we decide to come into this. And our readers deserve that from us. They deserve for us to be proud of what we write and for us to see that we and our peers are doing something that has value on multiple levels. Our readers deserve that from us. I find it a really big turnoff when I hear an author who writes romance and is making a living through romance disparage romance. I just I've heard it before, and they become I can't read you for me, and they could still write really good books, but it's
Yeah.
all I'll think about because no, you don't.
100%. We are coming up into the final minutes. I need to know your handles where our listeners can go follow you.
And
Also,
what book do you recommend?
yeah, and yes, exactly. What do you recommend? And any shout outs that you have. And for our listeners, leave all your comments below. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Okay, handing it over to you.
Okay. If you want to start with my fantasy, start with These Hollow Vows. That is the first in my fairy world. It is the first book I wrote so that I could slay monsters, but I also got to have a lot of fun with clever fairies and bargains and curses and lies and betrayal in that. So that was a lot of fun. If you want to start with my contemporary, The Wrong Kind of Love is a great place to start. It's the first in my Jackson Harbor series, which is a fan favorite series about a family that owns a brewery on the coast of Lake Michigan. And then I'm at writer, Writer, Lexi Ryan, like everywhere, except my Facebook fan page is actually Lexi Ryan author. But to be fair, I'm never there. So
Yeah. Link it up with Instagram. It'll just automatically go.
yeah, my Instagram goes to my personal page. I don't know, but you can follow the personal page on Facebook. Yeah, writer Lexi Ryan. I'm most active on Instagram because I am an elder millennial. It makes my daughter cringe when I use that label, but it is so apt.
Yes.
And
I didn't realize
I
talking our
have no
shit.
secrets. If you need to reach out to me and ask me a question, obviously I'm an oversharer. I like to
I love
help
it.
people. I can't read your book and give you feedback. So don't send me your book. But if you want to write somebody and be like, hey, I finished a book for the first time ever, and you want to know it's somebody who's going to cheer for you, that's me. I'm your girl. I will cheer for you and make a big deal out of it because it is a big deal. Yeah, I'm happy to chat with people.
Speaking of millennial, I came downstairs and my sister, she's much younger. She's only 16. She just turned 16. And she goes, not the shirt tuck. I did not realize tucking your shirt in with a little hangover, like with high-waisted jeans, was like a millennial thing. My eyes are opened with how much she tells
Well,
me.
Colleen, we can then we'll teach these kids even more.
I know, right?
We're Gen X, baby. So yeah.
I'm like right on the cusp, elder
we're kind
millennial.
of on the cusp too. We're heading towards. I'm the Gen X millennial.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank
anyways.
you so much for coming on. This has been a blast, and I can't wait to read everything that's coming out. 2027 will be here in a blink of an eye.
Yes.
I know. Will
Yes.
be.
And I'm
And
looking forward to it.
get back to work now, lady.
Yes,
We gotta get
we
that
can get
button.
out of your hotel room now and let you
Yeah. And
Yeah.
focus.
Yeah,
All
hocus
right.
pocus. It's time to focus. There we go. Thank you so much. And until next time, bye.
Thank you.